He the principal.
Steve stole my material on his show, so I had a beef on that.
On what show?
When he was on the bullshit talk show he had, and he did all my Halloween material one Halloween.
Says that you're still stealing his jokes.
Hey man, listen to me.
Yeah.
Now I'm getting sick of this right here.
Yeah.
Mark Curry need to grow up. Steve Harvey ain't been on stage since 2015.
You know, people want to jump up. Oh, he didn't know. He didn't steal your. So yes, he did.
Yeah.
And so that there's no need to. No one else has did that.
Mm-hmm.
Mark Curry just lit the match, and what he's saying about Steve Harvey has folks shook. Turns out Steve ain't just trading jokes with Katt Williams. He's terrified of him, and it's way deeper than anyone guessed. We're talking stolen spotlights, backdoor deals, and secrets Katt's been hinting at for years.
You don't do your material around a lot of comedians. That's like stealing in front of the police.
Now think about it. What happened to Bernie Mac? What happened to Mark Curry himself? Every comedian who got too close to the truth just started disappearing from the mainstream. So let's be real. Steve Harvey ain't just beefing with Katt. He's dodging him.
I used to be a fighter, and I still got hands. They slow, but if you get up on me real close, I can still knock your out though.
This feud, it's not just a celebrity spat, it's a full-on war. The tension been simmering for a while, but it blew up when Katt walked into Club Shay Shay and dropped verbal bombs all over Shannon Sharpe's show. Katt didn't just throw shots, he ripped Steve apart, piece by piece. Fans were stunned, but most agreed. Katt came out swinging and left Steve bleeding. But Steve didn't just sit quiet, nope. He fired back with slick shade and little comments here and there.
Any ass hater and you'll never have a hater that's doing better than you. Don't get off the wall to dress some any ass boy who ain't got going for.
But let's not get distracted. The real tea, it's hiding underneath all the laughs and headlines. Because here's the kicker. Most folks think it all kicked off during that viral Club Shay Shay interview. But nah, this beef goes way back. Real ones know the sparks started flying years ago. And the 2017 Def Comedy Jam reunion?
But let me ask you this. When have you ever seen this many heavy hitters all together at the same time? Yeah. In the same room. Yeah.
Things got real awkward real fast, and it all went down when Dave Chappelle gave Katt Williams his flowers on stage. The crowd laughed, Katt was smiling, enjoying the moment. But Steve Harvey, he looked tight, like he didn't want Katt getting any shine, not even for a second. So what did Steve do? He tried to hijack the vibe by blurting out, "I'm nervous as hell right now." Like, what? Dave was locked in on praising Katt, but Steve was clearly scrambling to steal the moment back. And Dave wasn't letting up. He kept talking about how Katt deserved his flowers and kept the spotlight right where it belonged. That's when Steve jumped in again, asking, "When have you ever seen this many heavy hitters in the same room at the same time?" Another slick move to shift the energy, but folks weren't buying it. The fans might have missed the tension in real time, but people behind the scenes definitely clocked it. Insiders, including Mark Curry, were heated. They felt like Katt earned that respect even without a mic in hand. He didn't need to be on stage to get his props. His impact speaks for itself. And yet, instead of uplifting a fellow comedian, Steve cut him off. Didn't even take a second to acknowledge Katt's legacy before trying to change the subject. Steve Harvey just had to jump in and snatch the spotlight again. And what made it even messier, he didn't even do it with style. His interruption came off awkward and desperate, like he was low-key jealous that Katt Williams was finally getting his moment.
It's good to see so many funny people together in one room, all wondering the same thing. Is Katt Williams gonna show up?
Shit, I'm nervous as hell right now.
But here's where it gets even more telling. It wasn't just Steve acting funny. Fans started side-eyeing Cedric the Entertainer too. That's right. Another comedy OG was moving real strange during Dave Chappelle's speech. While Dave was showing love to Katt, Cedric was over there fake laughing, looking all types of uncomfortable, like he was counting down the seconds till it was over. And when Steve jumped back in to talk over Katt's flowers, Cedric quickly backed him up with a dry yeah, like, okay, enough about Katt, let's switch gears. That move said a lot without saying much.
It's good to see so many funny people together in one room, all wondering the same thing. Is Katt Williams gonna show up?
Shit, I'm nervous as hell right now.
Now let's be clear, Cedric played it way more subtle than Steve, so your average viewer might have missed it. But people in the industry, they saw everything. And from what's being said, they were not impressed. Folks were disappointed that Cedric didn't even try to fake support. Instead, he co-signed Steve's whole shady attempt to shut down Katt's shine. And here's the wild part. This all went down back in 2017. That's years before Katt dragged both Steve and Cedric on Club Shay Shay. So you really gotta ask, Why were these two legends acting so cold toward Katt way before the beef exploded publicly? Word is, they were scared of him, but not because they thought he'd swing on them. Nah.
30,000.
Steve Harvey and Cedric the Entertainer weren't just uncomfortable, they were shook, terrified that Katt Williams might outshine them, take the spotlight, and expose everything they've been trying to hide. Go back and rewatch that Def Comedy Jam moment. Steve straight up says, "I'm terrified" on stage. And it wasn't a joke, dude was dead serious. He knew Katt had the crowd, the talent, and the respect, and that scared him bad. Word on the street? Steve ain't just playing nice when it comes to Katt, he's flat out scared. Mark Curry didn't hold back either. He supposedly spilled the tea behind the scenes, saying Steve and Cedric been ducking Katt for years, and for one simple reason, Katt's just better.
He did too be.
And let's not act like Katt's been silent, no way. During that wild sit-down with Shannon Sharpe on Club Shay Shay, Katt came with a vengeance. He name-dropped, he threw shots, and then he dropped a bombshell about a showdown most people forgot even happened, his battle with Steve Harvey back in 2008. This wasn't no friendly face-off either. It went down at the Championship of Comedy, and even though it wasn't officially billed as a battle, Katt made sure it turned into one. He got up on that stage and went off. He lit Steve up with joke after joke, especially about Steve's hairline, calling him out for rocking a man's wig and pretending to have a fade on national TV.
Some bitch kids who got them smart for me. Sassy, talking head, shaking and shit. Talk to the hand, talk to the hand.
People were obsessed with Steve Harvey's hair back in the day. That crispy high top fade, it was like a cheat code. Men were jealous, women were impressed, and barbers everywhere were catching heat because no one could match that perfect lineup. His hair wasn't just a style, it was a statement. That fade was the crown jewel of his whole TV persona. And when Steve stepped in a room, heads definitely turned. But when Katt Williams clowned him for it, oh, that cut deep. This wasn't just a joke about hair. Katt went for the jugular. He was coming for Steve's ego, his image, and that pride he'd built up over years in the spotlight. Katt didn't just roast him, he exposed him. And guess what? The impact was real. After that infamous night, Steve dropped the wig and went full bald. No more hiding behind the illusion, he had to face the truth. Katt called it out in front of everybody, and Steve had no choice but to own it. Nowadays, Steve's bald head and that sharp mustache are part of his brand. He made it work. But let's not forget, back then he was hiding. That hair was fake, and Katt made sure the world knew it. And here's the real kicker. According to Katt, that one savage roast was enough to make Steve quit stand-up comedy altogether. If that's true, then no wonder Steve gets jumpy every time Katt Williams' name pops up. I mean, how would you feel seeing the dude who basically roasted you into early retirement? That's not the kind of L you just forget. And don't be fooled, Steve ain't over it, not even close. Fast forward 9 years later to 2017 at the Def Comedy Jam 25 reunion, and what happens? Dave Chappelle cracks a little joke about Katt, and boom, Steve's whole vibe changes. Folks watching say he got visibly nervous. But can you blame him? When someone cooks you that bad on stage, just hearing their name might trigger a flashback.
And he did all my Halloween material one Halloween. I'm watching that. Somebody called me and said, "Man, homeboy doing your material." So he did my whole Halloween run. And I know he didn't think of it. You know, this is true stuff that really happened to me.
Now let's talk about Cedric the Entertainer. His drama with Katt, way more under the radar, but just as messy. Most fans had no idea these two had beef until Katt dropped the receipts on Club Shay Shay. Katt straight up accused Cedric of stealing one of his best jokes, his signature closer, the one that used to bring the house down every night. Katt said he specifically told Cedric not to take it. But what did Ced do? According to Katt, he pulled up to the Comedy Store, watched him crush the crowd with that joke, loved it, congratulated him, and then allegedly stole it anyway. A few years after dapping Katt up for that fire joke, Cedric flipped the script. He went on Kings of Comedy and dropped the exact same joke, almost word for word. Only difference? He swapped out Katt's car for a spaceship. That's it. No major twist, no remix, just a straight up repackaged punchline. And Katt? Oh, he wasn't letting that slide. He torched Cedric, calling him a talentless walrus who couldn't sing, couldn't dance, and sure as hell couldn't write a joke if his life depended on it. But he didn't stop there. Katt dragged Cedric's whole catalog, calling his comedy specials so weak they couldn't even land on Netflix. Or Tubi, that's cold. Now some folks might say Katt's being too harsh, but when you stack up the receipts, maybe he's got a point. The man's been throwing heavy claims, not just at Cedric, but at Steve Harvey too. And these accusations go way beyond stolen jokes. Katt even suggested there was a plot behind the scenes, a conspiracy to hold down none other than the late Bernie Mac. According to Katt, Steve, Cedric, and Ricky Smiley were all smiles in public with Bernie. But secretly, they were hating hard and trying to block his shine. He said Steve was jealous of Bernie's acting game because, let's be real, Hollywood wasn't banging down Steve's door for serious roles back then. And get this, Katt claimed the Kings of Comedy crew purposely put Bernie first in their lineup, just to make Steve look like the star as the closer. They thought Bernie would warm up the crowd, but he stole the whole show instead. But here's the real twist.
Halloween was a trip. Halloween, we couldn't afford no Halloween costumes. Hey, kids, please. Mama sent us down to the liquor store, put boxes on us. We didn't know what we were. I don't know what we are.
When it came time to edit the Kings of Comedy footage, the producers didn't play by the crew's rules. They flipped the whole lineup. Bernie Mac's set got moved to the end because he was the funniest one on stage, period. That alone crushed any plans to make Steve look like the star of the show. And while it might sound like just another wild conspiracy, Katt's claims weren't just coming out of thin air, because guess who backed him up? DJ Ed Lover, a man who was close to Bernie Mac himself. According to Ed, Bernie personally told him about the shady games going on behind the scenes. Bernie believed Steve was actively undermining him, especially when Steve allegedly tried to steal a role from him in Ocean's 11. That wasn't just some petty move, that was career sabotage. Bernie didn't hold back. He told Ed that Steve was not to be trusted. And once you start connecting the dot, it becomes real clear why Steve gets so nervous when Katt's in the building. The pattern is hard to ignore. From stealing jokes to backdoor moves, Steve, Cedric, and their crew have been accused of stepping on anyone in their way to protect their shine. Katt's not the only one who's peeped it, but he's one of the very few who actually calls it out. Most comedians just stay silent, choosing to protect their own careers and play the game. Bernie Mac, he knew what was going on, but he didn't want to stir up too much heat. He kept it classy. But Katt, that man's never bit his tongue for nobody. When he sees snakes in the grass, he says it loud, public, and with receipts. That's exactly why Steve, Cedric, and the rest of that clique stay looking shaky when Katt's name gets mentioned. And best believe, Katt ain't the only one accusing Steve Harvey of stealing jokes either. Veteran comedian Mark Curry didn't stay silent either. He stepped up and claimed Steve Harvey stole one of his jokes too. And the way it went down, straight disrespectful. Mark said he was chilling at home when a friend called him up like, "Yo, turn on the TV, Steve's doing your bit." So Mark flips on the screen, and boom, there's Steve Harvey, live on stage performing one of Mark's signature jokes from back in 1999. The exact same routine Mark had already done during his Comedy Central Presents stand-up special, word for word. So of course Mark confronted him about it. And what did Steve do? He denied everything, told Mark to bring receipts if he was gonna make accusations like that. He even hit back saying, "I've never stolen a joke in 35 years. If you got a problem, come say it to my face like a man." That might have worked on some folks. But Mark's fans weren't having it. They pulled out the receipts. And yep, the joke was real. The whole routine was about growing up broke and rocking cheap homemade Halloween costumes. Mark had already done that joke in the 90s. It was one of his most recognized bits. But somehow, years later, Steve popped up telling the same exact story on his show Little Big Shots. Even using the same setup, grew up poor, had to wear wild costumes on Halloween.
Halloween was a trip. Halloween, we couldn't afford no Halloween costumes. Hey, kids, please. Mama sent us down to the liquor store, put boxes on us. We didn't know what we were. I don't know what we are.
During a raw interview on Willie D Live, Mark Curry didn't hold back. He laid it all out about Steve Harvey stealing his jokes. But here's what made it even wilder. Curry said Steve didn't do it for the money. He did it because he wanted to be like him. Straight up envy. Curry didn't even mention Steve's name at first. Instead, he kept it general, talking about how common joke theft is in the comedy world. He even compared it to what happens in the rap game, saying, yeah, rappers might touch on the same subjects, but their delivery, flow, and bars make them unique. But stand-up, that's a whole different ballgame. Curry made it clear, when a comic steals material, it puts the original creator in a tight spot. You either stay silent and take the L, or you step up and call it out. And Curry wasn't about to stay quiet. He sent a warning to Steve. "I'm a step to you if you stealing my set, F you. I step to you." He made it known, it's not about throwing hands, but about respect. That line, that was personal. Curry told Willie D he takes serious pride in writing his own jokes. He goes out of his way to craft routines on topics no one else is touching. That way, when someone does bite his material, it's obvious. No excuses, no confusion, just theft. And because his jokes are one of a kind, Curry said it's easy to spot when someone like Steve slides in and tries to pass them off as his own. And that's how Mark Curry caught Steve Harvey slipping, by recognizing pieces of his own jokes coming out of Steve's mouth. Curry even tried to give him a little benefit of the doubt at first. He told Willie D, maybe it wasn't Steve directly. Maybe one of his writers jacked it, but let's keep it real. We all know where that material came from. He wasn't stressing the money either. Curry said Harvey got plenty of money, so this ain't about cash. It's about style. It's about respect. Then he hit him with the real burn. You want some of me? You want to be me? Then guess what? You ain't got enough money to buy that.
Let Ricky wish off.
Curry doubled down, calling himself a G in the game and basically telling Steve, you want my flavor? You want my presence? You want my legacy? But of course, Steve Harvey clapped back and he didn't hold his tongue either. He told Mark Curry to grow up and stop making things up for attention. Steve dismissed the whole thing, saying, I've been out of the stand-up game for years. I haven't been on stage since 2015. I don't know what this old G talking about. I'm at peace. But fans weren't buying it. Plenty of them believed Curry was telling the truth. They felt the way Steve kept brushing it off, refusing to really address the details, made it seem like he had something to hide. At the end of the day, Mark wasn't just claiming joke theft. He was calling out a pattern, a whole vibe. And the way he said it, it hit hard. You don't want my material. You want to be me. Fans didn't just stop at the stolen jokes, they went even deeper. A bunch of people pointed out that Steve Harvey didn't just lift Mark Curry's material, he allegedly jacked his whole show too. That's right, people believe Steve straight up copied Hanging with Mr. Cooper when he launched the Steve Harvey Show. And guess who co-signed that take? Katt Williams. During that explosive sit-down with Shannon Sharpe, Katt flat out said, that's the same Steve who sat in the audience watching Mark Curry perform his sitcom, then turned around and stole everything Curry had. According to Katt, there's a whole secret circle of comedians in Hollywood who make their name by snatching other people's shine. Jokes, characters, even full-blown acting roles. It's cutthroat, shady, and more common than most folks realize. But here's the kicker, every one of those dudes, they're terrified of Katt Williams. Why? Because Katt ain't scared to call them out by name. And speaking of names, Katt didn't forget to drag Ricky Smiley into the mess, too. Even though Ricky didn't show up to that 2017 Def Comedy Jam reunion, Katt still aired him out on Club Shay Shay. Katt accused Ricky of spreading lies during his own Club Shay interview. Smiley had claimed that he was originally cast to play Money Mike in Friday After Next, and that Katt only landed the role after something changed behind the scenes. But Katt called cap on all of that. He said Ricky made the whole thing up and was never in the running.
Who it happens to.
According to Katt, there was no switch up. He was always the pick. This man told y'all he had my role. That's what Katt Williams said, loud and unfiltered. He wasn't biting his tongue for nobody. Katt called out Ricky Smiley directly, mocking his claim that he was originally cast as Money Mike while Katt was supposedly set to play Santa Claus. Katt clapped back hard. Let's get the facts straight. He broke it down, said all of them auditioned in LA and he was number 201. That means 200 other black comedians were in that building going for the same role. But now Ricky's trying to act like it was his part from day one and that he had already started filming. Boy, bye. But wait, it gets way messier. Katt dropped a bombshell about an original R-rated scene in the script. In this version, a group of guys jumps Money Mike as revenge for something he did. Katt said Ricky Smiley was cool with filming that wild scene, no hesitation. But when Katt got the script, he shut it down. He wasn't about to co-sign that kind of scene, especially not with that energy. He took a stand and refused to play the character that way. And it wasn't just about the script. Katt said Ricky was walking around like he ran the place, acting like he was already a Hollywood heavyweight, like he was the radio king, the comedy genius, the real Money Mike, trying to convince everyone he deserved that spotlight more than Katt. But Katt wasn't having it. He saw straight through Ricky's act and made a bold move. He was so fed up with Ricky's energy that he added a wild condition to his contract, just to make sure Ricky wouldn't get near that set. Katt Williams was so done with Ricky Smiley's antics, he threw down a wild condition. He said he wouldn't work with Ricky ever again, unless Smiley agreed to wear a dress. And here's where it gets downright ironic, because what happened next? Ricky Smiley's next major movie role was as Bernice Jenkins, an elderly church lady in First Sunday. And yep, you guessed it, he wore a dress. Katt couldn't help but laugh out loud at the whole thing. The timing, too perfect. Now think about this. If Katt really had that kind of pull, to the point where Ricky had to wear a dress just to stay in the game, it's not hard to understand why folks believe Smiley might be shook. Imagine someone having that much influence over your Hollywood future, pulling strings like a puppet master. That's a different level of power. Of course, Ricky wasn't about to let that narrative fly. He came back swinging, using his January 4th episode of the Ricky Smiley Morning Show to try and set the record straight. According to Ricky, there was no plot, no shady backdoor switch-up. He claimed it was director David E. Talbot who personally picked him to play the Bernice Jenkins character in First Sunday. Smiley even gave Katt some love, saying he respected his performance as Money Mike and wasn't trying to steal the spotlight. Ricky broke it down clear. I went out to audition for Friday After Next as Money Mike, not Santa Claus. That's the honest truth. But then, Ricky took it a step further. He dropped some behind-the-scenes tea about how the Money Mike character really came to life. According to Ricky Smiley, the character Money Mike wasn't even supposed to be a pimp at first. He claimed the original version was written as a broke panhandler chilling in a strip mall parking lot. But once Katt Williams and the producers got involved, they flipped the script and transformed Money Mike into that flashy, over-the-top, scene-stealing pimp fans know and love. Even Ricky admitted they made it way funnier. But as for Katt's wild claim that he forced Ricky to wear a dress through a contract clause, Smiley wasn't having it. He shut that all the way down, said there was never any such clause. He insisted that when he put on that church lady dress in First Sunday, it was his choice, not Katt's demand. Smiley broke it down, saying he wasn't the first comic to throw on a wig and heels for a laugh. Flip Wilson had Geraldine. Richard Pryor played different characters on his show. Jamie Foxx had Wanda. Martin Lawrence gave us Shanae. And of course, Tyler Perry built an empire with Medea. Ricky said, "There's a long line of comedy greats who did characters for the sake of funny. It's entertainment. That's it." He made it clear, nobody wants to wear a dress just for kicks. Nobody is comfortable in it. It has nothing to do with my manhood being lessened. That's what Ricky Smiley said to defend himself. But not everyone was buying it. A whole lot of fans feel like there's something deeper, something darker, when it comes to male comedians wearing dresses in Hollywood. Some folks believe it's part of a secret initiation, maybe even tied to the Illuminati. Others think it's a way Hollywood breaks strong black men, forcing them into roles meant to humiliate, not entertain. For many, this doesn't feel like just comedy. It feels like a calculated move to mock and disempower. And maybe that's why Steve Harvey, Cedric the Entertainer, and Ricky Smiley all seem so uncomfortable whenever Katt Williams is brought up. Because here's the truth. Katt ain't playing by their rules. He's not staying quiet. He's not bowing down. And in an industry where silence is expected, one man who refuses to shut up becomes a threat. Mark Curry said it best. Steve Harvey has every reason to be scared, because if the truth ever fully comes out, it won't just be the end of a beef, it could be the collapse of a whole legacy. So what do you think? Is Katt Williams just stirring the pot, or is he finally putting the truth in the spotlight? Drop your thoughts in the comments below. Let's talk about it. Don't forget to like, subscribe, share, and hit that bell so you never miss the next deep dive. I'll catch y'all in the next one.